In Part 2 of Module 11 on entitlements, we'll discuss background and types of entitlements. While virtually all modern democratic countries would agree that entitlements are essential to good governance, it is also the case that the boundaries of discussion related to governmental entitlements are often unclear. In part, this is due to the ever-changing conceptualization of the nature and proper scope of entitlements. Public health protection, for instance, once meant principally that government authority was used to isolate individuals who were infected with communicable diseases via quarantine. In some cases, such persons were simply left to die in isolated asylums. Similarly, assistance for the chronically unemployed often revolved around private charity, almshouses, and public begging in designated places. These examples from the past may appear quaint or laughable to many Americans today, but they were the most common forms of public health and welfare promotion practiced in this country in the not-too-distant past. As the demographics of our state and local government populations have changed, our collective understanding of entitlements has changed, either becoming broader in scope or more exclusive of client eligibility. In his 2004 Columbia Law Review article, The Political Economy of Entitlement, legal scholar David Super outlined 6 principal definitions of entitlement. First, subjective entitlement. This represents a belief that an individual has certain benefits due them, regardless of whether a legal foundation for that belief exists. Politicians will sometimes use phrases such as everyone has a right to a home, even though there is no legal foundation to the statement. Second, unconditional entitlement. This represents a benefit that is not subject to conditions or reciprocal obligations. Most governmental entitlements are conditioned upon some aspect of reciprocal obligation. For example, a person receiving unemployment benefits must have been previously employed and been part of a layoff and must be looking for a job actively in order to continue to receive benefits. Third, positive entitlement. This represents a legally enforceable individual right. This is the most familiar definition of entitlement. Individuals have a form of property right attached to a positive entitlement, such that an illegal deprivation of such an entitlement provides grounds for a lawsuit based on the suffering of substantive harm. Fourth, budgetary entitlement. The concept is often referred to as mandatory spending in the law. Social programs that are budgetary entitlements are prioritized above all other expenditures, in that they are not subject to caps on spending. Fifth, responsive entitlement. These governmental expenditures are made based on need-based formulas. Public education programs driven by student headcounts are an example of responsive entitlement. Government payments to the victims of natural disasters would be another example of this type of entitlement. And sixth, functional entitlement. There are some government programs that meet some qualitatively definable need of its beneficiaries. Many food and nutrition programs assume that healthful sustenance will be accomplished for a person if a certain food and nutrition benefits level are established. An example in this area is food stamps. A certain benefit level is established with the idea that a recipient household's food needs will be met. Super's distinctions are drawn in his effort to define the concept of governmental entitlement as valuable, helping us to understand what it is we mean by entitlement and thinking normatively with respect to good and bad forms of government entitlement, what entitlements should be maintained to promote sustainability in the communities served by American state and local governments. In contrast to Super, John Skinner provides a greatly simplified approach to thinking about entitlements. He distinguishes between only 2 forms of governmental entitlements, those being earned and those being implied. According to Skinner, Social Security is an example of an earned entitlement because one contributes a portion of one's earning to Social Security, and the level of contribution directly affects the level of benefit received. Medicare is an example of an implied entitlement because it is assumed that once one reaches retirement age, one is entitled to Medicare health benefits, regardless of one's contribution level through payroll deductions over a career, and regardless of your extent of need. In Part 3 of Module 11 on entitlements, we'll discuss entitlements and sustainability.